Hims and Hers Health Inc. have debuted a $199 weight loss shot at an 85% discount to Wegovy. According to Bloomberg, Wegovy costs roughly $1,350 a month for injections without insurance. Usually, insurance does not cover these. And Eli Lilly's Zepbound is also similarly priced. Obviously, $199 a month is a huge discount. And Hims and Hers can offer this prescription weight loss drug because US regulators have rules which allow pharmacies to make copycat versions of drugs when in a shortage, a practice that's known as compounding. Fun fact, this practice exists to make drugs available when manufacturers can't produce enough to meet demand, or when a pharmacist needs to tweak a drug's recipe to remove an ingredient that might cause an allergic reaction in some people. Jeremy, everybody's on the Zempies, right? The miracle
The
drug trade
Zempies?
isn't
I
slowing
haven't heard
down.
that.
$200 a month is a drastic reduction in price. I think we're going to just see people jumping on this bandwagon as soon as humanly possible. How are you and Truett and the team that's at A&M Consumer and Retail Group preparing retailers and brands that you work with for the potential after effects of all of this?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't know where all of this is gonna land. I would love for this to be a catalyst for folks to live a healthier lifestyle in the long term. I hope it accelerates some of the trends towards healthier living that we're already seeing. I think it's fascinating that Him's able to find, I guess I'll call it a loophole
Yes.
that they right
Very
that they
much
can
so. Very much so.
produce. Yeah. I didn't know that existed until this story either, so I think that was fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, my question is, A, how long does that last until kind of the patent holders actually build out their capacity, and what does that look like?
Right.
I'm sure Him's happy to cash in as much as they can in the meantime. But yeah, no, look, and it just goes to show that they are smartly working through and operating in the dynamics of their space, and other companies can learn from that and make sure they do the same.
Is there anything like have your clients been asking you about this, Jeremy, or like how to approach this consumer who isn't snacking as much, isn't consuming enough as much in the grocery department? They're not on the vitamins and prescriptions that they might have been as they continue to lose weight. Like, are your clients digging into these questions with you?
They're not. I actually spent time at a client in California for the last 6 months or so. And I think it was particularly prevalent there, and it wasn't even on their radar quite yet. So I just don't think it's big enough to kind of reach the boardroom level conversations quite yet.
Interesting.
Maybe this will be the catalyst to do so. We'll see.
Right. Certainly going to be when you reduce the price of this drug 85%. Truett, what about you? Have you had clients come to you to ask about this? I think it's especially interesting too when you think about like the loophole that Jeremy mentioned. Like someday this is going to close and all the costs are going to go back up to, $1,300 a month. So then what happens when you have this like fluctuation in like behaviors of your consumers, Truett?
Yeah, I think it's a really fascinating question. I honestly feel like this is similar to Gen AI, in which everyone is really interested in keeping up with it, but nobody knows the implications of it at this point. And so similar to Jeremy, I think it's a board level kind of cocktail discussion. It's not a board level topic, right? And perhaps it should be, particularly if you think about how transformative Novo Nordisk, we have an obsession with Danish companies on the podcast today because you have this one and then Lego.
Lego, yeah.
But their market cap is larger than the industrial output of Denmark. And so the potential of this is transformative. And so I think we have to begin understanding the permutations of what this, as you described, can have on snacking, which the past 30 years everything has been the snacking trend, and it's put this completely upside down. That have a big impact on companies that we talked through with Walmart and Target in terms of driving sales, particularly in grocery. The other piece, though, I do think, and Jeremy alluded to this, is what I do think is a case study is Hims and Hers and what they're doing and how innovative they have been from a business model perspective, cracking the DTC prescription model, and then to, we always talk about being agile and quick. They saw an opening, they seized on it. Even if it's a short amount of time, I would imagine the amount of customer acquisition this will drive for them is extremely large, getting them in the ecosystem. And then if there's other drugs they can leverage with those customers, it's what we preach with our clients, is to seek opportunities, find a way to go attack it. If this was a much larger pharma company, and probably why it hasn't happened, they probably would not touch this because, there's conservative, obviously, wanting to abide by regulations, et cetera. Hims and Hers being a scrappy startup, but pretty large at this point, says we'll go find a way and make it work. And so I think that is as much a case study, for our clients as it is in terms of the implications of Ozempic.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Truett. Like, just the marketing, like the customer acquisition costs that they will get out of like just offering this drug at this price. I mean, it's that part alone is brilliant. I hadn't even thought about that part, but you're so right. Chris, I'm going to go to you last on this one. Walmart was saying that they're already seeing decreases in revenue because of the Ozempic drug when it came out months ago. Where do you land on this?
Yeah, I think this story's got a lot of angles, and I love the point Truett made. Like, it's actually just good retailing at the end of the day. It's great retailing by him and hers. Like, it makes me wonder, like, why can't Walgreens or CVS do something similar? Do they have the ability to do this? I have no idea what the regulations are, but I have to at least ask that question. And Hims is such a great marketer, and I mean, on Facebook every day, I get so many like ads.
I don't want to know. Help! I don't want to know.
No, I get so many ads for chewable ED drugs, and I go like, how do they know so much about me? How do they know that I like gum so much? And it's crazy.
There's HIPAA regulations that are being broken right now, Chris.
I just can chew gum all day long, Ed. But anyway, but the other point about the story that I love is that there's a confluence of streams starting to emerge here that could impact those that sell food. Like, you talk about the risk of deflation at some point, which who knows, but it could happen. You've got population growth potentially in certain parts of the country going against you. And then now you have this as well. So Truett brought up generative AI. I think that's a really interesting point too, for another reason. Like, if I'm a food retailer, if I'm in the boardroom, I'd be looking at alternative sources of revenue. I'd be diving hard into marketplaces, retail media, if you think those things are applicable to you. And then the second thing I would be doing is I'd be looking really hard at how do I get more productive with AI, and particularly generative AI, to take costs out of my business. And I do it fast, because I think if you look to the future, you get that looking glass, like the crystal ball, so to speak, you're going to have a lot of bullets pointed against you here in the next few years, potentially.
Well, I know that I fought for that last headline, Chris, but I think we got some really good conversation coming out of it. Some great things for our audience to think about. So send us a note. Let us know what you all think as well.